they working. Thank you very much. So, Interpal, you not conveniently, very kindly skipped the slide on commercial models. So, because guess what I'm going to be talking about? And it's so important when it comes to rich messaging. And believe it or not, but on April the 28th, I will be moderating a live webinar talking about RCS commercial models, because I run a group within MEF who have been supremely active in looking at the topic, and the leading players in that group who've been very active the past year are .go, Infobip have been very active, IMI Mobile, as well as, of course, others. So we're going to be talking about that. Now, rich channels, you laid them out, what rich channels there are out there, but RCS isn't new, is it? It's been around for a long time. So what has been the factors holding RCS back? And I'm not actually playing devil's advocate, it's a fact. We've been told for many years, this year is the year of RCS, it's happening, and it hasn't, and it hasn't, and then it hasn't, and it hasn't. What makes 2022 different?
Hello, can you hear me? First, I'll answer your question of why did I skip the commercial slide. I just saw you winking at me saying time is up. So, okay, yeah. And I thought that would take maybe 2 or 3 minutes.
I'll give you that one. Thank you. Okay.
And also, I didn't want to steal your thunder on your next meeting coming up. Well, RCS is actually not new. RCS has, the standardization process started more than 10 years ago at GSMA, and with some of the big mobile operators like Vodafone playing an instrumental role in getting the ball rolling for RCS. What is different this year is that over the last 3 years, Google has taken a very proactive role in making RCS available widely and globally, reaching this critical milestones where every Android handset being shipped now onwards, whether it comes from Samsung or from Google or from LG or from one of the other Chinese ODMs, is going to ship with Android messages. That is a very exciting development in the industry. So people will have the RCS client in their hands, in the phone that they are buying, in the emerging markets where 90 to 95% of the handsets are Android. It means a lot.
Okay, thank you. Milind, over to you, if you pass the microphone on. So Root Mobile, I know, was very instrumental in bringing RCS into India. And would you agree with what Interpal has said, that those are the things that have been holding it back? And could you just explain what the commercial model is in India compared to the likes of WhatsApp business messaging and indeed SMS, just to give me, because I don't know at all, and possibly some of the audience may not necessarily be aware of the different commercial model.
Sure. So first and foremost, we don't do RCS only in India, we do it globally. And the number that struck my mind, what Inder was presenting, was 1 billion messages a month in 2021 are declared, and we are a listed company. Our declared stats has been more than 1.4 billion messages on RCS in one single month ourselves. So I guess industry is much more if we have only done ourselves that number. So we have played significant role in certain parts of the world in actually driving traffic on that. So I think the way we look at it is this is an ecosystem of 3 core stakeholders, right? One is a handset provider in some way, form or the other, so that the app or the inbox where the message reaches has to be able to accept a richer form of communication. So that's one leg of the whole thing. Obviously it comes via an operator along with the operators, so operators' participation in that whole value system and ecosystem creation is very, very critical. And the third is area players like us who then further on build solutions, applications, use cases, journeys, be it in marketing space, customer care space, engagement space, or what he called as commerce space, right? You could pick up any user journey and then build a case around it, right? I think the biggest realization that I've seen coming in the last about couple of years has been the ecosystem agreeing and understanding that there is a need for this system to evolve, right? And nothing pushes the system forward when, and allow me to use that word, competing product like WhatsApp is really steamrolling. Some other products sit back and say, listen, if they can do it, I can do it as well, right? So I think for me, realization of the ecosystem that it needs is a one biggest part. And
sorry about interrupting you there, but the realization, the steamroller known as WhatsApp, the whole point is with mobile operators, it was mentioned earlier today, rich messaging has been something that has largely passed them by. They haven't been able to monetize. And RCS is their real chance to have something that they actually own. Are they doing enough? Do they understand that element enough here in India?
I think our discussions with operators understand that, right? They understand the need for it, but I think the readiness of the system, because see, it's very easy to say that I want to do RCS, right? But are you really integrating with the enterprise the right kind of, let's take an example of a healthcare. Are the reports PDF coming in, right? Are the appointment setting happening properly? If I take a commerce example, is catalog APIs available, right? So the industry cannot just move on intent. It needs to have an infrastructure readiness, which is across the ecosystem, right? When you see that happening on competing channels, then the existing, I think that will steamroll, right? We are very, very bullish on it. We believe things are falling in place. Coming to the commercial model, specifically in India, right now it's free for all. There are talks of various points as to what it should be benchmarked. I think it will be settling down on pay-as-you-go model. We'll see whether it is per session based or whether it is per message based. But right now the thought process is more on the pay-as-you-go model.
Okay, thank you. Now, Rajesh, to bring you into the conversation, obviously. You're definitely not here for decoration, sir. So in terms of, what rich messaging, sorry, how can I phrase this? So for the end users, the people who are using WhatsApp today, so I mentioned right back at the beginning, my journey from the airport, the taxi driver was running his whole life and livelihood on WhatsApp. But that was obviously for a personal use. He was obviously using his personal thing essentially for business. How do we, as an industry, in India specifically, get it across to small businesses that cost effectively, that they don't have this perception that rich messaging, it's something that's too expensive for us, and that they can actually use? What's being done in India today by the industry, by Mobtex and Bix, yourself, all the people on the stage and in this room, to ensure that actually rich messaging is something every company can use?
Yeah, thank you very much. All right. So see, if you see WhatsApp, the recent commercial, it is like, too huge. Then again coming the platform cost, that is too high. So if RCS is going to evolve proper way, right, that is going to, definitely that is cannot be replaced, especially A2P messaging. But the numbers what in previous discussion we have seen, it is going to be more higher than that. See, in India, especially if we see the internet penetration was very, very low. Slowly it's becoming more. The handset, people, the people who earn very less, you see the smartphones are, quite this one well. So if this industry we want to evolve, we have to do it little faster, right? Then only we can take it up. So if you see RCS, we are talking since many years, right? It hasn't taken up, but this is the right time. From A to P, the things are shifting to WhatsApp for business. If we evolve this, I think that is going to be wonderful for everyone.
Okay, so simplicity, you would agree that
right.
simplicity is key for the adoption.
Right.
Particularly, I keep coming back to it. I'm being very boring here, talking about the commercial model, but simplicity absolutely is required for RCS. Milind, go for it.
But I'm still not sure of the simplicity bit.
But surely, hang on a second. If I'm I'm going to be devil's advocate here.
I want to counter you on that.
Go on.
I don't want this to be always mutually agreeing kind of a panel, right? So there are two simplicities here. One simplicity is from an enterprise operator handset guy perspective. This from a consumer perspective. How many of you have Android phone here? And how many of you have received RCS? How many of you have done RCS setting properly? Only 1, 2, 3 hands. That's simplicity for you. So what I'm saying is that the channel is exceptionally powerful, but I think we as an ecosystem have still some time to do to ensure that it is seamless as a, okay? Has anybody, let me do one more show of hands around here. Has anybody faced any problem of any consumer experience on a WhatsApp or a Viber, ever? No one. It's okay, you're biased. So what the point I'm trying to make is, at a consumer side, we still have work to do as an ecosystem. At an operator side, and with the complexity of a Mavneer, a Map, Najai, an operator platform, and a Cineverse platform, and a WIT platform. So that ecosystem is still complex, right? And it's evolving. And it will take its time. But we believe in this completely, just as much in there, and we believe in it. Would I say this year is the year of RCS? I would say this is a decade of RCS, right? I'm very, very hopeful that as we sit together, and if we all sit together in 7-8 years hence, we would have seen this to take off in a very, very different direction.
Perfect. But by simplicity, by the way, I was talking about commercial models. So if you're a root mobile, a mob texting, you're a .go gupshop really, or you're whoever you are, selling messaging services to enterprises. If the enterprises I keep using this example, but if the enterprises ask me how much is an SMS in the UK, I can tell them. How much is it for email? I can tell them, and voice. But when you come to RCSs, it depends. That isn't going to fly. So that needs to change, surely.
I think the commercial models are working. Yeah, commercial models are turning out to a very standardized model around the world today. The commercial models for RCS are all centering around 3 price points. Something called a very simple basic message, which is going to be priced like an SMS. Something which is a rich message, which is going to be priced at a small premium. And a conversation or a chat, which is going to be priced at a certain fixed price per day. Now there are some exceptions around the world, UK being notable, where the models are a little bit more complex than this simple, but leaving those oddballs out, around the world, whether you take Brazil, Mexico, I think India will fall into that category, or you take Nigeria or South Africa, or France for that matter, France, Germany, this is the model that is spreading around the world. And it's not very different from a WhatsApp model. WhatsApp also has changed its model. It's a pretty complex model to understand from WhatsApp. I remember initially we used to have pictures and diagrams, and there were debates inside the company, even amongst product guys, saying, what does it actually mean, this WhatsApp pricing, right? And then they changed the pricing model, and okay, there's more confusion for a while around that. But RCS model is going, my prediction, within the next few months, by the end of this year, is all going to standardize around these 3 pricing points. And it'll be simple, easy to understand. There's one additional, we could say, complexity in the emerging markets like India, which have chosen to have SMS price segregated between domestic and international. And that is a reality of a market like India or Sri Lanka or Bangladesh or even Nigeria. And in those markets, there's additional complexity required for RCS similarly, where there'll be a separate price for domestic versus international. And that will continue, I think, as well.
We're going to be closing this up very soon because lunch awaits us all. But Brijesh, with WhatsApp, I know things have changed in terms of regulation. Things changed last September. But I personally was involved in setting up an omni-channel experience for our omni-channel event. And I had to go through with Carol from MEF, setting up WhatsApp, trying to set up Apple, and trying to set up other stuff. And it was really, the forms you got to fill out, the use cases are super strict. Can WhatsApp, we saw from the presentation from Nick Lane, that WhatsApp, particularly here in India, is going to be massive increase in percentage, and it's going to eat into SMS. But they have very strict policies on the content of what you can and can't send. Do you see those policies loosening at all in terms of what type of content can and can't be sent by the likes of WhatsApp? Because other channels, like SMS, you don't have that constraint at all.
Definitely, I think the RCS also has to be come with a certain policy regulation. I think he told us for ILD, if you see a lot of cases, customers are asking, can we terminate the ILD SMSs using WhatsApp? Because if you see the commercials are very domestic and international, it's very huge gap is there. So if RCS we put in proper shape, definitely it is going to be in different direction altogether. And of course commercials would be lesser than WhatsApp, right? If we set somewhere in mid between, like between domestic SMS, international SMS, and somewhere a proper commercial, then I think it can make a big success.
Fantastic. Thank you, Brajesh. And Milind, we're now here at the close. Your final thoughts on rich messaging and rich messaging in India. Do you agree with Brajesh that actually, do you think the forecasts are actually low, and others who have voiced with me in the breaks that actually the forecasts from Mobile Squared are very low and the future is even brighter than predicted? I'm not just talking RCS, I'm talking rich messaging in general.
So we are privy to conversations with some of our partners. I think these forecasts are under index than what the partners are wanting to aspire for. On RCS, I do not have a handle per se, because the way most of the people think of RCS is how much do you kind of slice out of SMS, whereas in WhatsApp, Viber, Line, Facebook Messenger, Insta DMs, Twitter DMs, they are all saying expansionary trends. So you are onboarding more net new additions, versus in RCS SMS, most conversations have been replacement of one versus another. So I don't have a very strong handle on RCS. We'll see how it evolves across. But I think my real thought on adoption of RCS is, and you have touched a very right point, how do you really onboard customer quicker, faster, by ensuring that the trust issues are taken care of. I know some of our OTT players are now having 2 hours of onboarding process by just doing, so what they're basically saying is, in 2 hours flat after you submit your documents online, your account is live, and they will restrict the quantum, and it would give unlimited consumer-initiated messaging capability in the system, but it will restrict the number of outbound messages that you're unable to send till the time you complete your KYC process as an enterprise, right? So we know for sure OTT players are playing on this space, and the intent is in this quarter we will see some of these OTT players adopt at an enterprise side in this model, which is quick onboarding in 2-3 hours, not wait 15 days to do an onboarding with a limited flow of traffic.
Perfect.
I think something like that in RCS will also further dovetail into rapid expansion at an enterprise level.
Thank you very much. So I'm just going to bring this to a close with one last comment. I ran a session at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, and do you know what? I've been in this industry a long time, but I did not understand that actually you can have a company that is a startup, and in my head, you always had to go through the SMS phase and then move into rich messaging. But this was a mobility, basically battery scooters, battery bicycles, and for food delivery people, for a very simple one-time fixed monthly price, got their transport devices and could use them. This company called GoMeep, they just use WhatsApp and nothing else. They've started on WhatsApp, they've stayed with WhatsApp. And I did not know that, because I always thought that the journey was always SMS and then rich messaging. And actually rich messaging is at the point today that it is easily adoptable in many places by startups, and you can get straight into it, because that's what, at the end of the day, us consumers are used to. And our families and friends, they're used to using chat apps already. So let's give them what they're used to. So I think we as an industry have done a very, very good job with that. So I'd like to thank my panelists. Thank you very much. Indipal, thank you. Brajesh, lovely meeting you in person. And Milind as well, at last. Thank you very much. And if you please come forward for your little thank you, and we'll have a group photograph. It won't look good. I think you put a picture. Sorry.